Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Wednesday, November 16th, 2022 meeting of the Fall River Redevelopment Authority. Recording the open session can be viewed on Fall River Government Television, www.frgtv.us. I'd like to call to order, pursuant to the open meeting law, any person make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recording or transmission are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. I'd like to start out with a roll call. Johnny Erickson here.
Luis Gonzalez here.
Ann Keene here.
Joe Marshall and Joe Medeiros are absent tonight. Also participating are Sarah Page, Executive Director, John Coughlin, Counsel, Kenneth Viola, Administrative Services Consultant, and Rochelle Avila. First on our agenda is approval of the open session minutes from October 26th, 2022. I need a motion to approve those session meetings minutes.
I approve the minutes.
I wasn't there, but I'll second it.
Yeah, you can second it.
You have no choice, you have to say.
Second it.
Anybody left? Johnny Erickson, yes.
Luis Gonzalez, yes.
Ann Keene, yes.
Next thing is the approval of the warrant. The items on the warrant total $73,144.74. Any questions on those, guys? So I need a motion to approve the payment of this warrant.
Motion to approve the payment of the warrant.
Second.
Second.
Johnny Erickson, yes.
Luis Gonzalez, yes.
Ann Keene, yes.
Next item is City Pier 600 Wall Street. Updates are pretty much the security system.
The security system is going in. They've ordered all the equipment. And otherwise, everything is really going well out there. People are just walking and enjoying it. The birds are not anywhere near as present. It's staying clean, which is really wonderful. I was out there one morning pretty early, and an older man came by with a pickup, one of the pickup sticks, and he was picking up trash. And he said, "Oh, I pick up trash all along the waterfront, and I'll be here every couple of weeks, and I'll pick everything up." And he clearly does this in a number of places. So that was the kind of thing I was hoping for, was that the walkers would help take care of it. And that sounds like that's the case. Ken and I were out there confirming the punch list for the concrete. We had all kinds of people razzing us about our punch list and railings.
Up the railings.
A few bugs to work out.
No more geese on site though, that's what the
Yeah.
geese have left
Yeah.
once people get out there, so.
A few people said to me they really like the benches and asked if there would be more, so we always have that option.
Yeah,
to have that.
definitely.
But, yeah, the opening went very well. I want to thank everybody again. It was very nice, and we were blessed with the weather that day too.
Yeah,
And I
sure
think
was.
Senator Norton was really, tickled pink by it. He seemed really happy about it, so that was nice.
We got good press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do need, I do need a vote to authorize me to execute the change order that you guys have, number 9.
It's for
It's the
2,762.
extra grass on top of the food truck area.
Extra long.
Extra long,
Because-
extra long, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's
And-
okay.
And hopefully grass.
Yeah, the grass is growing much better. It had been done with sand because that had been inspected. Everyone agreed it really needed logging, so we added that.
So I need a motion to authorize me to execute this change order. Okay.
I vote that we authorize John, the chair, John Erickson, the chair to.
Vice chair.
The vice chair. John Erickson. To exercise the right for the change order.
Yes, second.
Second, Jack Harrison, yes.
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
And Keith, yes.
Sarah, do you want to speak to the Chapter 91 license for the dogs?
So we've been making calls to Millie and encouraging this to be approved, and it is in process, and we just need for it to get approved soon so that we can put our piles in. And we know that Mass DEP is working on it, and we're just staying in close touch with them. And Laura, our consultant, sent some more documents, and so that should be coming soon. And the major issue is that the bids came in for the pile installation, and they came in, we had projected that they'd come in around 197,000. We have an earmark for 150,000, and they came in at 265,000. And the primary reason we believe is that Greenheart piles were spec'd, and they're supposed to be the very best kind of piling material. It comes from Guinea, and they're in short supply. And so so we got one bid, and that was a surprise because many people had taken the plans, many had come to the pre-bid meeting, but we believe it was a problem with getting the piles. And so the one company that bid called me today and said that there are some things in the specs that make the job more expensive, and that they would love to meet with us and talk about ways that they could cut it back. And because some of our environmental approvals, some of the agency approvals required a turbidity curtain. We thought it would be $7,000, and they came in at $36,000. And the reason is that the way it was spec'd, it assumed you would move it 20 times for the 20 different piles. And they had written a question that was answered, could they use one big curtain? But the way the answer defined it, they felt it still wouldn't work for them, and so they bid it high, assuming they had to move it 20 times. And what they want us to think about is to have the turbidity curtain go from the little jetty at the end of City Pier to the jetty that we own across the way, and close off that whole bay area. And so we're going to entertain that idea, and they had some other ways they thought that they could make it less expensive, so we'll listen to that. So I've talked with many people about it, and we could reject it and go back out to bid, but we're recommending that we go ahead and accept the bid, because these piles are expensive, they're the best to use. If we don't do it now, then we're risking doing it in the spring. We'd have to go back out to bid. And Bill at Beta said today that we're assuming that the time of year restriction for the spawning of the fish is going to end the middle of May. But he was saying that the Army Corps of Engineers could actually make it into And that would make our ability to use this money by the end of June really, really tight. And we could spec a different kind of pier piling, but there are all kinds of issues with the others that we might spec, and so there was real reason to go with this. So we would like to recommend that we go ahead and accept this.
And you said they were available. They're available.
This one company, he explained today that the reason they can get them is that they have ordered an enormous amount for a big project in Newport, and therefore they have kind of a, the supplier was willing to extend this to the 20 that we needed. And so because they have such a big order in already, they were able to get these 20.
So what you were talking about earlier with the turbidity curtain, like doing it a different way, would we need to run that by anybody? Or
I don't think so. I think it just calls for a turbidity curtain. So I think so long as this meets the criteria of a turbidity curtain, we should be all set.
I'm sure they know.
You know, the irony of the whole thing is when we originally did the city pier, and we were driving in, I don't know how many sheet piles we put in there. Nobody required a turbidity curtain. So here we're putting in 20 pilings, and now it's a requirement. So I think it's whoever the analyst is for EPA at the time, they make those determinations. So I don't think this is really a hot button issue. If this is an acceptable means of installation of a turbidity curtain, then I think we'll be okay. Yeah, just one clarification. We had mentioned that we thought it was $7,500. It wasn't we, it was the
Data.
data. We didn't, it's their numbers. These are not our numbers. So, because when the turbidity curtain question came up, that was the first question we had for them. What's the cost of this? Because if we thought it was really expensive, we might have pushed back on it, you know, because we don't think it was absolutely necessary.
So then with the 265, would that savings be a credit after
Yeah.
the fact?
Oh, no, we would, they're saying before we enter into a contract, we could lower the number
Work on the
by
number.
20 to 30,000, they think.
If you put you closer to
Closer.
what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 36 minus 20, 16. So then I need a motion.
So actually, right, the way that we suggested, right, doing that vote is a not to exceed the 265, assuming that it may come down.
Okay, so then, so I need a motion to authorize the vice chair to execute a contract with Reagan Marine / MAS Building Bridge not to exceed $265,409.
Just one quick question. Everything in their bid, all the paperwork and everything was good and all that. So that's already been reviewed and
Yeah.
such. Okay.
So I vote to authorize the vice chair to enter into the bid not to exceed 265,000.
Second,
Second.
Attorney Erickson, yes?
Louis Gonzalez, yes.
And Keen, yes.
Okay, next item is Pleasant Street Roadmap and Urban Renewal Plan.
Well, I thought I might have more news to report on this, but we have both Emily Innes and her group and Monica Pacino from Mass Housing, who's our our program officer at Mass Housing, working with us on our HUB grant. Both of them are trying to talk with both NEBA and the Department of Housing and see if the regulations that were promulgated in January can be either put off their implementation for urban renewal plans, or there's the possibility that they could just still use the methods that they used before they implemented these new regulations. And so they've been doing work finding out how many other communities are affected by this and trying to talk with state agencies saying lots of people are being affected by new regulations that really are difficult to apply to urban renewal plans. So we're working on it. We don't have a definitive answer.
The downtown historic district expansion. Anything
So,
to talk about?
yeah, we had our kickoff meeting with our new consultant who's on board. And he's coming out December 5th through 7th to do an assessment of the area that we are designating. He had a really good meeting with Ken and with Jason, who's the new chair of the Fall River Historic Commission. And we talked about the size of the district and what it would include, and he really had very good points about how he thought we were expanding it a little too much into areas that were hard to argue fit within the theme of the downtown. And so at the end of that meeting, we agreed that he would come for a few days and we'd probably set up some meetings with him. And he mostly needs to look at the area and the buildings and take photographs. And then he'll write up his documentation that he has to send to the Mass Historic Commission. Then they have 6 weeks to review it. And after that, we'll have a public meeting. And so we are on a timeline. He's worked out a very careful timeline. And so we'll probably have that public meeting in March or April.
Do we need to go in front of the Historic Commission with any of his findings, or just?
Well, actually, what's happening is Jason is the chair of
Yeah.
our Historic Commission. He's reporting what he's learning in our meetings to the Historic Commission, and will certainly be making that connection.
Okay.
It's possible that some of them will meet with Andy Robley when he comes, so we've got a really clear connection there. Yep.
So they'll be here for a few days then. The vice chair makes a finding that an open session would have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body and on the litigating of the public body. You need a roll call to enter into executive session to approve the executive session minutes from October 26th and to discuss strategy with respect to litigation in the Bristol County Superior Court, docket number 2273 CV 00535, and with respect to potential litigation regarding the city pier project and for real estate transactions on the agenda on Innovation Way. Johnny Harrison, yes.
Louis Contis, yes.
Are we coming back though, John?
And not to return home.
We won't be returning to open meeting.
Ann Keen, yes.
Thank you.